Well, hello everyone. I am back for another header Nikon video. Man, it has been a long time. In fact, I believe it's been over a year since my last header Nikon video. Thanks so much for those of you who voted in the community tab for woodland animals. That's what today's headers Nikon video is going to be about. This is mostly going to be a headers video, and I'm doing things a little bit differently than I used to since my style has changed and since my goals and plans for this channel have changed. So I have my designs all loosely sketched right here and ready to go. I'm doing this on 300-pound hot press Arches watercolor paper, and I'm going to be using, first off, a Winsor & Newton black ink along with my nice dollar store ink pad here, and obviously I'm going to be using a ruler at some point, and I love this triangle piece that I use in pretty much all of my bullet journaling and drawing videos. I also have this watercolor palette. I've already got my Winsor & Newton watercolors all lined up. This is my palette that I use for all of my watercolor paintings, and I have a sampling of cheaper Walmart brushes and then my nicer watercolor fine point brushes. I will be using both in this video. I also may use at some point some microns. I have a few of those in a variety of sizes ranging from 005 all the way to 08, so those will also be used. And of course mechanical pencil, and I like this Pilot G2.38 pen. It is not necessarily archival, but it's really good at getting little tiny fine lines that I can't get with the micron. So I usually do that as a final point. It's not great to put the watercolors over it, but it's great to put it over the watercolors as like a final touch. We're going to start off with the daily icons. I have noticed there are a few people who have taken in the designs from my header and icons videos, redrawn them, and then decided to try to sell them on Etsy. I just want to let you know that these are for personal use only. I'm teaching you how to draw them for your personal bullet journals. They are not for commercial sale. If you would like to purchase my designs as part of a commercial license, you can contact me. All my information is in the description box below, but these are for personal use only. They are my designs. I do retain the copyrights, so please do not try to take my design and sell it. That's stealing. Alright, let's get drawing. So as you'll see, I started with basic shapes, which I recommend for any artist getting started to go ahead and start with basic shapes rather than jumping right into the details. It helps you to block out where you want the illustration to be, especially when bullet journaling. You want to usually use your limited space very carefully. Blocking in shapes also helps you as an artist to learn anatomy and properly space things out before you add in too much details. So even though I do feel pretty confident when I'm drawing straight with ink, I do still block in things in pencil just because it definitely does help. You catch mistakes sooner and easier than when you jump right into pen and realize you've made a mistake and it's too late. You have to start over or improvise. A lot of these designs take a lot of time, and if you're looking to make your own designs, which I highly recommend that you do try to make your own, I know it's easier to copy other people's designs or to see what other people do, but and I don't mind if you copy the designs exactly, but if you're trying to grow as an artist, I do recommend that you start by looking at other people and what they're doing, but then try to improvise and modify. So that could be as simple as taking one of these illustrations and doing the tail in a different position, or the head in a different position, or different colors, or a different style, but the same concept. So all these things are ways that you can make something a little bit more yours. And if you're just getting started as an artist, it is much easier to copy. And I find a lot of people tell me that they can only draw if they're copying somebody else's drawing. And that is actually how you start. And once you do that over and over and over and over again, eventually, if you start to push yourself out of your comfort zone, you'll be able to do it completely on your own. And it just is about building confidence in your line weight, building confidence in how you draw things, the shape of things, and also additionally taking the time to try to do some life drawing. So one of my favorite things is to go to a zoo, and I have many videos on that, and sketch from life, sketch animals at the zoo, and you'll start to find that your anatomy gets better, your visual, the way you look at the world and your visual interpretation of that world changes. And you'll see, even I use a sketchbook, and I show it to you briefly just there, and I sketch the ideas out. It takes me a really long time because I do a lot of research. I do about an hour's worth of research looking at what other people have done, and then once I make a list, you'll see I listed off the animals that I thought would be good, and I picked ones that were popular and ones that weren't popular. Obviously a fox and deer, especially fawns, bears are pretty popular, owls are popular, but I also wanted to add in a skunk and a hedgehog, which isn't as popular, a mouse. I also added in some crows, so those aren't always popular and I love them. So knowing what's out there is important, but don't let that stop you from doing things out of your comfort zone. Once I have my list of animals, instead of looking at what other people have done to make it my own, I actually look at the animals themselves. So I will research how do raccoons look, how do skunks look, what kind of positions they make, what they look when they're jumping or moving. And that is how I come up with the designs that I came up with. I'm not copying other people, I'm looking at the actual animals themselves. And that's how you're going to come up with unique and interesting designs that are yours. I'm using a wide variety of microns here, and I know I mentioned that in the materials section, that I use anywhere from a 005 all the way to a 08. In actuality, I find that I probably go through the most 005s and 01s than anything else because I am, of course, a fan of lots of tiny little details. However, I am using 08 quite a bit here, and that's because I wanted to have a contrast in line weight. Sometimes I wanted the animals to pop out, sometimes I wanted the objects to pop out a little bit more than the animals, like for the birds holding the sign. All of these things, more line weight makes something not only pop out visually, but it also makes it feel closer to you. Creating depth and interest with line weight is very important, especially if you're just going to be doing pen and ink. If you're looking to do pen and ink and not color, definitely invest in multiple sizes of pens because it's going to create a more interesting image. So now that I have all of the black and white line work finished, I'm going to go ahead and add in some watercolors. You'll see I'm erasing all of my pencil lines. Sometimes I leave them in, sometimes they don't. It just depends on the kind of style that I'm going for. For this, obviously, I want it to be very clean and I don't want any pencil lines to show through. So I went ahead and erased everything with a Staedtler eraser. You can see I already have my color palette picked out, and when I cut down, because I do buy large pads of Arches watercolor paper and I cut them down. When I do that, sometimes there's little scraps left over. I save those and I test out color palettes on them. So for this particular project, I tested out what colors I wanted to use for all the animals, and I tested the swatches on the side, so I knew that I wanted to stay within that color palette range. Color palettes, if you're new to being an artist or you're new and you want to learn a little bit about color palettes, it's definitely an interesting thing to research because once you can have a consistent color palette, it adds cohesiveness. So I'm not currently bullet journaling anymore. Well, I am, that's not true. I am not doing any artistic bullet journaling anymore. I've very much moved on to the minimalist, simple style just because I'm working so many jobs and I have so many things going on and I cannot maintain a fancy bullet journal anymore. But if I was to be maintaining a bullet journal, I probably would mix between the toned paper that I used to use and actually switch off every couple of months to a more of like a Bristol paper or something that's custom made or made for art, a sketchbook made for artists that's bound, because it can take the heavy materials of watercolor, and watercolor is really what I predominantly use. I use a lot of pen and ink as well, but a lot of my illustrations are watercolor, and sometimes I don't even use pen and ink anymore. I actually make the line weight with brushes and watercolor. And I know I've mentioned this in previous videos, but since I might potentially have some new listeners here, when I was doing my detailed bullet journaling, it wasn't just to decorate the bullet journal for myself, it was to grow as an artist and to enhance my skills as an artist. So I really push these designs and I do a lot of details, and especially with this video in particular and these designs in particular, I spent a lot of time doing them, and I know not everybody has that much time. I totally understand if you don't have that much time, but if you're trying to grow as an artist and you want to use headers and icons as a way to, or new headers especially, as a way to decorate and to grow your craft and your skill, and you can even use these in scrapbooking. They're so easy to modify and change and come up with different things. I've had people use my designs on invitations and cards and all sorts of different things, not just on bullet journals. And if you're trying to grow your skill in that way, then you have to be drawing every single day. So doing these detailed headers may not be for everyone, but if you are trying to grow as an artist, doing one of these every single day is a great way to not only grow your bullet journal and decorate it, but also to practice. And practice is what's going to make you a better, more efficient artist in the future. The more you practice, the better you get. I truly believe that everyone can draw if they just take the time to go ahead and practice. And I will repeat that in every video that I post because it really is the truth. I look back on illustrations and artwork that I've finished in the past that I was really proud of at the time, and even now I'm like, oh, I can do so much better now than I could back then. And that's because I am constantly drawing, constantly painting, constantly pushing myself to try new things, and work with different materials. And now that I've found a material that I feel really confident with, I feel really confident with pen and ink and watercolor, I draw with that all the time. But I do still push myself. I take breaks, I do this journal prompts, I do other things that help me to continue to grow as an artist, not only in the medium that I feel confident with, but also in other mediums and as a general artist. So you'll see I definitely build up my layers of color slowly, and I jump around a little bit, and that's because I'm giving the washes time to dry before I try to add the little details. If you're just getting started to watercolors, there's really a lot you can learn. I definitely suggest watching some of my other watercolor videos. I'll link a few of them in the little eye so that you can go ahead and take a look. There's plenty of watercolor tutorials out there, and this is not meant to be a watercolor tutorial, but as usual with other illustrations that I've created, I build up layers slowly. I love adding little feathers, little lines, little dots, little unnecessary things that make these designs my own. And all of those things take quite a lot of time and tiny little brushes and patience. Patience to let the water dry and to let the color dry so that I can add on another layer without messing up the layer underneath. If you are looking to grow your skill and you don't have time to draw every single day, another option is setting up your bullet journal pages to have, like on a Sunday, spend an hour or 2 hours setting up your entire week. And then that way, yeah, maybe you're not drawing every single day, but you'll have an entire page that's decorated and you got a lot of practice in. And everything's decorated. Usually that's what I would do, is I would plan out my entire page, maybe not physically draw the entire page, but sketch out what icons I wanted to use, what headers I wanted to use, and then draw them in pen on the day of. So they were already blocked in, which is kind of half the battle, is coming up with a new design and blocking things in. That's really the hardest part for me. It takes the longest, and the actual execution of drawing doesn't really take that long once I know what I want to do. So that's all the tips I have for you today. I'm going to leave you to enjoy the rest of this video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a like. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to head on over to the community tab to vote for the next header and icon topic, as well as some doodle with me topics that are going to be coming up soon. As always, these designs will be available on Etsy, both the black and white versions and the color versions, so go ahead and head on over to Etsy if you're interested in just purchasing them directly. I'd also like to know what kind of music you like in the background of these how-to drawing videos. I recently purchased a new license, so I have tons of different options, but I know everyone has their own unique style and taste, so it's always hard to pick exactly which music fits the specific drawings that I'm doing. So if you want to give some feedback, feel free. This wraps up the Woodland Animal Header and Icons video. I hope you enjoyed the designs. If you did, please give me a like and let me know what you think in the comment box below. I would love to hear your suggestions for future Header and Icons videos. I also have the poll for the next Header and Icons video up on the community tab, so be sure to head on over to the community tab so you can vote on what you want to see next. Just a reminder, these designs are available in my Etsy store without the month or the days. They'll be blank just with the watercolor designs so that you can fill them in for whatever day you would like. The link for that is in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, remember to create love and travel on. Bye!